And good morning, everyone! Hi, and welcome to another episode of Go West, our Pulp Cthulhu campaign. I am Simon at Wandering DM. I'll be playing Robert Stone, the town's deputy. With me, I have a cast of excellent players. Let's go around and introduce ourselves. We have one missing player today, but they'll be back next week. So let's start with our newcomer in our group, the Widow.
That's me. I'm Katie. I play Zelda Ambrose, the widow slash uh what do I do? I can tell the future. That's what I do. Yeah, I am the widow slash future teller. Future teller. It's really early, folks.
And next to Katie, we have the town's merchant.
Oh, that's me. Hi, I'm Kelly. I play Maisie Coldwater, who has this opinion about the current state of affairs. Um, uh, except for the fact that her family should be getting a visit soon. Anyway.
And last but not least, amongst the players, the town's priest.
Yeah, guys, glad to be here. It's nice early in the morning. And yeah, last session was kind of like a nice build up one, so I'm excited to play today.
And finally, our keeper. Deirdre, how are you? And take us away whenever you're ready.
Oh, I'm fine, y'all. It's always a great morning when I can drive the fine folk of Four Corners, New Mexico, further into the madness and insanity that awaits them as they contemplate their existential existence. But I do believe we had some minor things discovered last time as well, there was a conversation about dinner to be had over at the y'all invited yourselves to the Bradford ranch for dinner. Well, more accurately, the good deputy got yourselves all an invitation to the Bradford ranch for dinner. You had some conversations with the hashtag best doctor, your wonderful and charming Dr. Benjamin Adams, which led to a revelation for the good deputy about some interesting things about the book he's been so enthralled with. And also, apparently, that he needs to write everything down to protect his fragile sanity from being further destroyed. And then we had a conversation with Miss Maisie about, meeting her parents, but apparently her mama done met the deputy slightly before he was a little bit ready for it. You noticed a storm blow in with that bright green lightning that heralds so many wonderful, interesting things for you all. And the doctor discovered that his sister has no recollection of one Jane Langley. But this all led to the further discovery as you decided to wander the streets of Four Corners to see what remained after the storm had blown through, and found yourselves with the remains of one Miss Nellie Connors. That's where we ended it, with the racked and withered body of Nellie Connors. And Mrs. Ambrose was recovering from her migraine in the saloon. Now, you've got about maybe an hour before you have to leave to go visit the dear friend, Mrs. Bradford. What would you like to do?
Perhaps we should get her body to the Undertakers.
I'm gonna take a look around to see if there isn't any of these creatures still prowling about. Then we can bring the body.
You want to go ahead and roll that spot hidden?
Indeed I do. I'm gonna burn 20 somewhat. No.
I was waiting for that.
I have the luck for it now, but no, I'm gonna be
Not do
stingier on
that?
it. Yeah.
You do have your other options, sir. You can push the roll.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
How are you going to change the circumstances?
Do I have a way of changing the circumstances?
Take off your gun, your boots, your hat. Just wander around defenseless.
Why would I take off my boots?
For the scene, it looks cooler.
No, you know what? I'll keep the fail.
You'll keep the fail. It's early, and we go through this town. You are distracted, sir, by what was done to Miss Connors and the obvious problems with her remains. There's nothing obvious nearby. You see again the puddles that were left by the rainstorm that blew through, that heralded this discovery of yours. But even they are drying up a little quickly. One of those, that storm was hard and fast, and the ground was just dry enough to absorb it all right quick and in a hurry. There's nothing around you. The town is almost quiet.
Well, time to bring that body back to the Undertaker.
I'll help George drag the body through town, I guess.
Did we ever inspect this body?
Nope.
We got a good. We knew what the big key things were. I think
That her limbs
Maisie
have been twisted together in a parody of crossing your arms.
I think while the gentlemen were looking around, Maisie might kind of see if there's anything on Nellie Connors. And try not to throw up in the process.
Go ahead and roll that spot hidden. Hard success. There doesn't seem to be anything on Mrs. Connors. Anything at all. The dress is pristine, as you know, even in its mangled state. There's no blood on it. You see where it's, again, the arms are twisted together, and you see where the cotton of the dress is twisted with it, but there's no tears, no stitches pulled. There's no marks along the hem. There's no dirt along the hem. It's like this dress came out of the wash off the line just before she put it on. it was the dress that the priest saw her in earlier that day. Her boots are polished and shiny. Her hair is immaculate, and if it weren't for the fact that she obviously has a face full of pain, you would think that she was ready to get up and walk away. You would also notice, however, that her wedding ring that you know that she has worn her entire life, instead of being on the gold chain around her neck where she wore it, was on her left hand. And around her neck, instead of that gold chain and the wedding ring from her late husband, there's nothing.
Maisie would share at least that last piece with the club. She doesn't really have any idea why, but she knows that it's very odd, and so it's worth pointing out.
Within like the history and time period we're in, like that wouldn't like signify anything, would it? Like,
I mean, you could roll in a cult if you think it's something off, but historically speaking, no.
okay.
She would have, it wouldn't have been entirely unreasonable for a woman in her position to remove her ring and wear it around her neck instead of, because she worked with her hands, specifically because she was a school teacher and was working with her hands, she didn't want to damage it. So instead of being around her neck as she usually wore it, it's now on her hands.
Well, as long as it's not missing, I suppose. Deputy, will you help me carry her?
Yep.
We will have Mr. Bryant some more work, I suppose.
And, oh, wait. The Undertaker is at the other end of town, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. On the way back, I figure we should stop by the saloon and get, Miss Ambrose and let her know that we're going to Bradford's later today.
She did express some interest in going out there as well.
You mean the random stranger that you let mess with my uncle?
Yes, Maisie, that is the same one.
Okay.
I feel like we're off to a good start.
It might be time you were introduced.
I did meet her briefly.
Maybe she could explain her actions more and her reasoning behind your uncle.
Well, we've got a lot to get done, so let's get a move on.
We take the body to Mr. Bryant.
Yep.
Mr. Bryant answers the door and he's shocked. And it's almost enough to shock him out of his normal affable nature. This is the third body you've brought to him in less than 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular individual was a good friend of his. So, are you dealing with this deputy? Is there something? What is going on here? I have absolutely no idea, and this is slightly disconcerting.
I assure you, we are dealing with it as fast as we can. It's just whatever is doing this is very good at hiding.
I. All right. Are you going to tell the sheriff, or do you want me to do that?
No, I'm gonna tell the sheriff myself.
All right. I'll send her off with God's grace. And he just almost in a rude manner for Pat, um, pushes you out of the door.
Miss Connors touched many lives here in Four Corners. Her death won't go unnoticed for long.
That's for sure. We need to put a stop to this.
Indeed. It does not bode well to have this many people dying in such a small town.
Does not bode well to have that many people dying, period.
Death is inevitable for all of us, but it hits smaller towns more so. More tightly woven together.
Hmm.
But let us go get Miss Ambrose.
Alright.
So you proceed back to the saloon. It's starting to fill up a little bit this time of day. You push in 11 o'clock. Bruce is still not behind the bar, but there look to be a couple people who are making noise that might draw him out from the back room in the near future. As you hear the sounds of folk coming in looking for some imbibement, even on a Sunday, even when this Sunday had no service occurring. As you climb the stairs to the second floor and suite number 2, you would knocking on the door. You would hear this knock on the door, Mrs. Ambrose. It was a mite painful what happened to you.
Yeah, 5 whole hit points painful. Yeah. It hurt a lot. About how long has she been there by herself?
I would say probably about at least a good 2.5 hours.
Okay. She definitely rested for a good portion of that time. Like, she needed to rest her eyes and let her head she needed to get back in, a better position. This isn't the first time that her gift has knocked her out such a way, but she she knows how to take care of it at this time.
Yeah.
But I think at some point she sort of came out of, stuck her head out of her room, came down the landing a little bit, and wanted to try to keep an eye on Bruce. But if he disappeared out of sight, she wasn't going to test it, and she would have gone back up to her room.
Yeah, Bruce didn't spend much time behind the bar. He's busy trying to get everything organized. He's been spending most of his time in his office, which is where our dear friend Maisie had a conversation with the gentleman. You probably would have heard the deputy come up the stairs previously to have a conversation with another gentleman. You didn't hear what they were talking about, but you did hear the deputy enter his room and have an heard some conversation. Nothing particular, you just knew that they were talking. Before the deputy and priest emerge at your door, slightly, well, how are the two gentlemen feeling at the moment?
bedraggled, sad.
Tad, sad, confused, and concerned.
Yeah, when Zelda opens the door, she's noticeably paler. Her hair's a little frazzled because when you first met her, it was very cleanly pulled back. It's a little loose. There's parts falling around her face, and she's clutching the pocket watch close to her chest, and she opens the door just a crack and looks out at the two of you. You two look like you've seen a ghost.
I wish I had. There was another death in the town. I don't think you knew her, but she was deeply loved within the town.
That's quite unfortunate. I'm sorry for your loss, gentlemen.
We did have some news that we wanted to bestow upon you. We are going to the Bradford ranch today for a dinner we were invited to, if you would like to come along.
Well, given as I think they sort of know I'm coming regardless, I appreciate the invitation and I would like to go.
Did you have any more information about what happened between you and Mr. Bradford?
I never met him. He met my husband. My husband, unfortunately, is passed.
I understand.
I just, the way that, what that card made me and you experience, Father, it seems like a loose string I should probably at least attempt to tie up.
That place still puzzles me as to why we were put there together or what we are supposed to be shown or see. Still baffles me.
How about this, Father? If we survive whatever dinner this is tonight, I'll try to explain a little bit of myself to you. Maybe it'll have some answers. But trust me, it's not the first interesting expanse I've visited in my mind.
I look forward to this.
And she opens the door a little bit wider. So, do we need to go over anything? We picking up anyone else along the way? How much time do we have to prepare? Are we preparing?
The last time we were there, we were accosted in the night by fiery bats, bugs. It is hard to explain without actually being there, I suppose. So, perhaps something to defend yourself with might be a good idea.
All right. She goes over to her bag and unbuttons it and pulls out a little derringer and also a dagger. And I think she puts the dagger down her the front of her dress, but then puts the derringer in the back of her belt. I'm ready to go when you are.
George, are you ready? Or, sorry, Robert?
That's all right, Father. I'm as ready as I could be. We have to go get Maisie and go into the lion's den.
Knowing where you were, I bet Maisie probably waited downstairs for you.
Okay.
Because she knew what you guys were planning on doing, so.
So as the four of you, and I'm assuming the good doctor is joining you in a don't worry, I won't kill him when Scott's not here way. Other things might happen, but I'm not going to kill him when Scott's not here. You are now. Here's a very interesting question. How do you choose to proceed to the Bradford Ranch?
I do have a wagon. If that's something y'all are interested in. It could fit all of us.
Seems better than taking our horses or walking.
Yes, I accept the invitation to ride in your wagon, Miss Ambrose.
We'll have to go pick it up from the stables, but it's ready to go when we are. And I think she's like giving Macy a little smile because she hasn't seen her for a couple of hours and has no idea that Bruce is her uncle.
Nope.
So has no guilt for what she's done, what she attempted to do. And she is walking out of the saloon and heading toward the stables to pick up her horse and wagon.
I think as they walk, Maisie would kind of fall back to walk alongside the deputy. And appropriately, since they're in public, but the father is there, so
Our chaperone is here. We're good.
our chaperone is present.
Not even paying attention.
And I think she would just kind of whisper to him, like, I'm going to try and trust your judgment about this widow, but I hope you understand if I'm a little worried given the last widow. You don't have any, like, secrets about this one, do you?
No, I don't. Until yesterday morning, I didn't know who she were or where she came from. But she has a connection to the Bradfords and this place. So
Everybody here seems to have some connection to the Bradfords.
yeah. Not the good kind.
Just the next time we ask somebody to do some weird on one of my family members, can we check in with me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry about that.
No, just everybody's been so suspicious of Unky Taggart from the very beginning, and I worry about him, and I don't think he could do anything wrong. If there's anything that's happening, it's not his choice. And I don't want him to get hurt in the crossfire.
I think like you. I don't think that Bruce is an inherently evil man. He's not. But perhaps the Bradford did something to him. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get out there. Maybe we can find some answers. Put this thing to bed.
Yup. Hopefully we all come out of the Bradfords alive.
As you get to the livery stable and summon the stable hands to re-hitch these horses to this cart, the 5 of you start riding northeast out of town. The desert is... Well, the sun is out, but it doesn't feel warm. You feel dread as you go, each of you for different reasons. There's something you know is wrong, but you don't know what. Does anybody want to have a conversation as you're going? Or are we just going to redline this?
Zelda is going to be 100% focused on getting to the ranch. I think she's heard enough about... I just slobbered everywhere. Good morning, folks.
It's okay. I've had to sneeze since we started. It just won't go away.
That was Grammy just full of slobber. I don't know what just happened. Anyway, I think she's heard everything they've dealt with the Bradfords before, but she doesn't know these people, so she's keeping her eyes straight but her ears open, listening if they're having any conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty sullen as we're riding out there in the carriage.
So, I wasn't there when you went to the Bradford last. Anything I should expect? I mean, Father, you talked about the fiery bugs, but...
There were those, but there was also... We found the bottles that Mr. Taggart had earlier. The same symbols we found around her house as well.
And you just... Zelda just pipes up. That's why I tried to, get in there. Thought it might help.
But other than that, we had a okay time at dinner. It's a little foggy. The meal appeared to be fine. I believe I fell asleep towards the end of it, but it was during the night when the fire things attacked us. They weren't super difficult to deal with, but nonetheless, it was frightening.
I mean, we ended up having to throw a blanket on the top of a bunch of them. And then another one of those things showed up, those big red things. But yeah, I mean, the food at least is pretty good.
So, just to make sure we don't stay over to sleep or anything.
I think we should avoid that at all costs. Last time we weren't planning on it, but everybody seemed to doze off after dinner.
Idra, as we're leaving town, can I see Mr. Billows anywhere?
Nope.
Okay.
Billows is nowhere near town. And unfortunately, you wouldn't know that, but only the deputy knows that he escorted Genevieve Bradford back to the ranch before everything happened with Mrs. Connors.
All right. Yep, that's all I needed.
So, we're just going to wind the clock forward a few hours. You left town about 11:30. You arrive at the Bradford Ranch just about 4 o'clock. Perfect. Like I said, it's might far outside of town. As you reach the ranch, the sun is starting to set, but it's still still a little high in the sky, starting to backlit the large 2-story ranch house. Large, almost, well, looking at it, Deputy and Mrs. Ambrose, you would say that this is a beautiful, beautiful house, but it's not really in keeping with the theme of the area. You'd almost expect it to be, well, on a large plantation in Georgia or Louisiana. Only thing missing is, well, the large covered porch on the front of the house. Still in stucco and more local materials, but the shape and styling definitely gives one a remembrance of the large plantation houses that you, well, experienced in your younger days. Whether you spent any time in them or not, that's a separate question, but you'd have at least seen them. And as you come in, approaching to the door, there's Genevieve Bradford in her perfect, immaculate blacks of a wealthy widow, standing there smiling on the front porch step, waiting for you all. You might see Mr. Billows hanging around to the ready and waiting. There are a couple other ranch hands on the property. And you would see Mr. River Ashton standing to the left of Mrs. Bradford, slightly behind her left shoulder.
Howdy.
Good evening, good evening. Y'all must be coming in. Dinner's just about ready. Are you all? Won't you please come in? Mr. Billows and the stable hands will take care of the horses for you, kindly. Maisie, are you? And she'll come down the stairs to you, Maisie, and say, Maisie, are you all right? I heard about the horrible things that were happening in town. Are you okay?
Oh, I'm. Thank you for your concern. I'm fine. A little shooken up, but I'm mostly in one piece. I think it'll be okay.
That's okay. I'm glad you're doing. Come on, why don't you come inside? We can get some. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a new guest, and who you? Genevieve Bradford, and you are.
It's nice to meet you, Miss Bradford. I'm Zelda Ambrose. I'm the proprietor of Ambrose Acquired Antiquities. I'm new in town.
Oh yes, my late husband had some. God rest his soul.
He had some business with my late husband, Glenn.
Well, you must come inside. Do come inside, ladies, and she'll start escorting the two ladies inside if you will let her.
Maisie will. Maisie would check to see if she sees any of the same kind of signs that she saw last time she was here.
Want to roll that spot hidden?
Oh.
Yes. You do see wonderful critical. You do see the signs that her corset has been slightly redone. You see signs where the stitching has been adjusted around her waistline. Things have been shifted. You can definitely tell that she's trying to not visibly show that she's pregnant, but you could see it.
Is she making any sort of contact with me, like touching me as she's pushing us in?
No, I mean, she's being almost perfectly polite, like the epitome of etiquette and manners. She's escorting and holding on to Maisie, but she knows Maisie, and Maisie and her sister are good friends, so she has a much more intimate relationship with Macy than she does with you. She's just met you, but she is escorting you inside.
Okay.
You could, with that critical on that spot hidden, Maisie, you would also notice something that's a little odd to your eye. I mean, you were only out at the ranch a week ago. She looks significantly more pregnant than she did a week ago.
Monster baby.
Okay.
Zelda's gonna allow her to escort her inside, and as she does, she is just looking around at the surrounding area, just if anything seems out of place. But just taking in her these new surroundings. She's never been here before, so.
But okay. Well, that's wrong. We have, as you're looking around, it's a starkly beautiful sight in front of this ranch house. A level of the beauty of the desert is apparent, and the view from this ranch house gives the impression that it was intentionally placed here, that this was where the view of this property would be the best. You see in the distance some low mountains behind the ranch house, and as you're walking in, you're walking through the front door, you're walking west towards the setting sun. As you enter this house, it's much cooler on the inside. You see a large influence of the local Spanish imperialist architecture, colonial architecture, heavy dark woods, large exposed beams, lots of bright fabrics around. For most of the room seems very intentionally, most of the house seems very intentionally Spanish colonial, but as you are escorted into the main sitting room, it's jarringly different. The design in here is, again, goes back to that southern plantation, high society, high wealth. There's a fainting couch, a couple other small, very high-end couches with woods and very lush velvets in an almost mostly creams and light blues with some sparkles of very light lavenders. There's a large fireplace in the center of the room with a mantle that's draped in lace and with various things around. There's a small bar to the side of the room. Did the gentleman follow the ladies?
Yes.
I'd say yeah.
As she escorts you all inside, she turns and says, "Well, can I get you all anything to drink this morning or evening?" Sorry, that's me.
I'm good for the moment. Thank you, Mrs. Bradford.
I am also fine. Thank you for your offer.
I think Maisie would know that it's odd to say no. And so she would just be like, do you have any, just anything cold?
A lemonade, darling.
Perfect.
Oh, of course, I got you one of those.
Thank
And
you.
Mrs. Ambrose, what can I get for you?
Same as Maisie, I guess.
Oh, just give me a moment. I'll be right back. Please have a seat. Dinner should be ready shortly. Are you sure I can't get you gentlemen anything?
I think on second thought, I could go for some lemonade.
Oh, I'll just bring a pitcher then. And she'll retreat out of the room. She leaves the door slightly open, but you see her walk down the hall, out of sight.
You said there
Is
was
anybody else? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is anybody else still in the room with us?
Mm-mm.
Which room are we in?
In the sitting room, or the front parlor, I should say. Literally a formal parlor is more accurate.
And you said there was a bar there.
There is a bar with crystal decanters and 4 crystal decanters, 3 of which are moderately filled and 1 is full all the way.
Okay, so there is no actual bottles to I'll stick with the lemonade. Unless it's evil lemonade.
We'll find out soon.
So yes, there's no one here for you in here with you at the moment.
Do we see any of like the snake symbols like up on the wall or like on the trim or anything?
As you're looking for them, Father, you and Maisie had already been aware of the ones in the dining room and also in the late Mr. Bradford's study. Looking around this room, there aren't any on the crown molding that you would have noticed in the other room. Actually, this one, the walls are whitewashed. The crown moldings are whitewashed. The walls themselves have a very almost expensive silk wallpaper with tiny, tiny flowers of some sort. You would have to pay a little bit more attention to it to figure out what it is. There doesn't look to be like any, at least none that are noticeably visible at the moment.
You're mute.
Oh, I said I wait for Miss Bradford's return.
I think Maisie has been in this room so many times. But she would walk around just like she's stretching her legs probably, and see if there's any of those markings on the bottom of the walls.
Along the baseboards?
Yeah.
Are you looking for the markings on? Are you looking for the snake symbol through the cattle horns, or are you looking for the markings that were in your room?
So something more like what was in my room.
Okay, well, you never saw them. You know they're there, but you didn't see them well enough to actually get a look at them because you didn't after,
I know what they look like though.
You do know what they look like. Yeah, you can roll
Gee,
that
I
spot hidden
wonder
on.
why. I wonder why.
I mean, you do know what they look like.
But that's something, Deirdre, that I wanted Robert to look at as well.
Okay.
To keep an eye out for those other symbols.
You can both roll a spot hidden if you're looking separately.
Well, because I don't know that's what Maisie's looking for, because I don't know that she knows.
You didn't ask!
This is also true.
Hey, Maisie, did you look at that book I was looking at that you were supposed to look at?
Yeah, I mean,
like you had a conversation with someone and then you were like, I'm going to go talk to her. And then you decided not to ask the question.
I did ask her if she remembered anything in the room. Robert doesn't believe that Maisie could do that.
Oh,
So the thought doesn't even cross his mind.
Poor
Simon,
Maggie,
on the other hand, finds it hilarious.
sad to be him. But looking at around this room, as you do so, Maisie, you do not recognize any of the symbols that were in your room around any of this floor. You do see some things that are carved along the baseboard, but it's odd, and you're not quite sure what they are. They seem to be a repeating pattern of some sort, and it's very obviously intentional. It's not like somebody scuffed furniture against the baseboard or made an accidental markings on anything. No, this is very, very obviously intentional. Robert, well, you actually did try and read the book.
I did.
You don't know specifically what they are, but you recognize more of these particular symbols as being in the book. Which, remind me, sir, is it still on your person?
It is.
Cool.
Is Zelda feeling any I don't know, like specific, I don't know what I would have to roll for this if I would roll anything. Any sort of specific like psychic energy in this room?
Nope.
Okay.
Not feeling you based on what you do and how intentionally open you and the good father are to such things. Now, entirely different conceptions of those things.
Yeah.
But how open you are, you would feel if there was a psychic thing going on. There does not seem to be so at the moment.
What about like foreboding doom, creepy music, anything?
You just feel that
Like-
regularly.
Yeah, is there an organ playing?
No, there's no organ playing. We're not in Barovia. There's nothing so tacky as that. God.
Evil
Really?
lemonade.
But yes, Robert, you would recognize a bunch of the symbols that are along the baseboard as being in the book.
And do I recall any of these symbols having some of the notes that Jane had written next to them?
Yes.
Do I remember what was written next to them?
Not particularly. You might have to check the book.
I would rapidly turn my back to the entrance, get the book out, hold it close to my chest, flip through the pages until I find the note. And then close the book.
It takes a couple minutes. You find what page, because it wasn't quite where you remembered it being previously. But you do find the page and the notation. And the notation is odd because this is a book that is a page that it was later in the book, and suffers more of Jane's lack of mental status, one could say. And you see, instead of coherent conversation, she's underlined a couple of things, and you can see where those, for lack of a better term, phrases or sentences are written out on the baseboard in whole. So it's not individual symbols, it's like a whole phrase of words put out along the baseboard. And there's a note, it's very odd. It just says something that you recognize on that card that was there as well. Praise him, serve her, blood always. And the phrase, and that's what Jane has written, and she's written it repeatedly over and over and over again on this page.
I will close the book and hide it on my person.
Just for my understanding and desire, can you roll me a luck roll?
Yeah, to see if none of us like question what you're doing in the corner for a few minutes.
For several minutes.
I mean, you could roll the spot hidden, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to do that.
Yes, please.
I mean, like, when he pulled the book out, did Soda and the fathers did feel the sense of foreboding?
No.
We hear like two like large drum beats in the distance. Doo, doo.
Soda doesn't care. She doesn't care. He doesn't know what his book is or who he is. She doesn't care.
Maisie and the father both notice as the deputy goes to put this book away on his person.
Oh, wait.
And as he does so, you all hear, well, I brought some lemonade for you. Would you like some set down? Oh, deputy, why don't you come sit over here with me?
Is the fireplace on?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Damn.
It's stacked like it will be, but it's not currently on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go sit.
So, as she sits and pours out lemonade for all of you, well, dinner will just be a couple more minutes, but you must be. Maisie, are you really all right? We are concerned.
Everybody seems to be quite concerned, but between Uncle Taggart and the deputy here, I think I'm well protected and taken care of. I appreciate your concern, though.
Oh, well, I'm sure your uncle will do fabulous things. And the deputy taking care of you?
I mean, it's kind of his job. Protect the good people of the town, that sort of thing.
Maisie. Well then, I'm sure I'd love to know everything about it. Am I seating the two of you next to each other for dinner?
And I think
That's the only sound that comes out of my mouth is
I think Maisie just like looks at the ground.
Yeah, is there a blush roll or?
No, there's not. There's definitely not. Well then, how are you doing, Father? I'm so glad you could join us.
Days have been better of late. There's been so much going on around town. I find it hard to keep my mind from wandering.
What's been going on? I heard about Maisie, of course, but what else has been going? Is there something wrong in town? Should we be concerned?
No, not concerned, but there are just worrying signs that I shall keep to myself for now. It just troubles me in my sleep.
I'm so sorry your sleep is troubled, Father. I do hope light of revelation will shine upon you to calm your mind.
As do I. Thank you.
Mrs. Ambrose, it's so nice to finally meet you. I only have your late husband's letters, but I'm so glad you could join us for dinner.
Well, it's because of the kindness of these folks here, I was invited.
I do always love relying on the kindness of, new friends.
Of course, and you're in the business like I am of traveling from place to place. It's good to make a couple each place you go. I'm sorry, what business was your late husband doing with mine, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, well, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I'm not one for much head for figures, and I haven't really boiled down everything that my dear Theodore, God rest his soul, had broken down in his study, but I do know that he was your late husband was acquiring things for my dear Theodore.
Do
One of those, that vase right there was one of Theodore's purchases from your husband.
do you have any correspondences between the two of them that I might take a look at?
Oh, I'm sure we can find some after dinner. There's probably, my Theodore was very, very organized. Excuse me. He kept almost everything that he ever, very, very organized gentleman that he was.
Well, that'll make it quite easy then.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
She's gonna look at the vase. It's like a normal vase. There's nothing like weird about it or anything.
I mean, from what you can tell right here, it's a very nice white and blue enameled fine china. Looks like it was actually imported. How good is your antiquities?
I have appraise and archaeology and anthropology.
Appraise and archaeology and anthropology. Yeah, looking at it, you can tell that it's not a fake. It's an actual original. Probably, if you were gonna say, maybe 150, 200 years old.
Okay. She's gonna look down to her glass of lemonade and just smile up at Mrs. Bradford. Oh, I sure appreciate your kindness to strangers, ma'am.
I love providing it, but and she takes another sip of her lemonade. Are you feeling better, Deputy? I'm so sorry you couldn't join the previous dinner that we had.
Yeah, well, I had a run-in with, let's call it a very aggressive critter. And, I'm better now, is what I meant.
Well, I'm glad you could deal with it, Deputy. I always feel safer knowing that you're on the job.
Always, ma'am. Always.
And at that, you hear a light bell in the distance. Oh, dinner's ready. Would you care to join me? As she gets up to lead you back to the dining room.
I think Maisie would stand and head towards her and just try and very like calmly just I did want to let you know, Mrs. Bradford, that I'm gonna have to leave. Well, I think we're all gonna have to leave right after dinner. There's a delivery coming to town tomorrow morning, and I have to make sure that I'm there in time, so we can't stay the night like we did last time.
Oh, no, I understand. I still don't understand why we all. That was such a trying experience. I'm very tired, apparently. But I'm glad. No, I totally understand. I totally understand.
Oh, wonderful. I just wanted to make sure that if we have to hurry on off, that you're not surprised by us having to get up and leave too suddenly. That would be rude of us.
Oh, no. Maisie, I know you're not rude. Don't worry. She'll lead you back into this large dining room, and it's striking it's definitely striking to Mrs. Ambrose and the good deputy, who've never been in this room, but it's even more striking for the two of you for another reason. You both grew up back east, and you're aware of cost of things in a general sense, particularly you, Mrs. Ambrose. So a full 20-foot long spread of this dining room in plate glass window is